Into show. This one coming after the wins against Cagliari and against Sampdoria and Fiorentina. We're playing Cagliari tomorrow. I'm going to be completely honest. The lads already know this. My following of Inter in the last week has lessened to a great extent, which is strange considering that we're back to winning matches. But to be perfectly honest, following the farcical situation with Douglas Costa and the lengths he had to go to get sent off in the Juventus shirt, and Luciano Spalletti getting sent off for Cagliari for the offence, if you like, of celebrating a goal, particularly a goal at the end, which you would imagine would carry a lot of emotion for the manager. There's just something isn't. I have to obviously have to be careful what I say, but there's something just doesn't sit right for me at the moment, and I'm finding it a little bit difficult to give a credibility to what's going on. With that in mind, I didn't watch the match against Fiorentina, and I'm struggling with the concept of watching again tomorrow. I will at some point come back and start watching again, but there's just something that doesn't sit right with me at the moment, particularly when you contrast Spalletti getting sent off for celebrating a goal, Douglas Costa going to great lengths to get sent off. Spalletti, Rizzoli then saying that Spalletti shouldn't have been sent off, but Spalletti then gets banned. Inter then have to appeal against the ban, and even though the ban is overturned, Spalletti gets fined. To me, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know. What do you feel about all that, Ian?
Well, what can you say? There's so many different instances of how Juve are favoured, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the other day the Pjanic tackle in their game. It was exactly the same as Vecino's last season. VAR wasn't used, he got away with a yellow card. And then it's the same, like you said, Spalletti celebrates a goal, gets a one-match ban, and now you have Allegri last season in the fourth official's face calling him testa di cazzo. So, something is starting to stink.
And it's just for that reason that I can't, I just can't give it credibility at the moment, and just feel that there's almost a certain element of watching a soap opera about it at the moment, and that's not Inter's fault, but it's just something that really doesn't sit well. I like to watch my sport on the basis of everybody gets an equal opportunity, and if Juventus win because they're the best team, well, I'll hold my hands up and say fair enough. They deserve to win, and it'll stick in my throat a bit, but congratulations. It has to be a level playing field for all. I mean, you and I on Sunday night, we watched the Super Classico from Argentina, Boca Juniors and River Plate. And what was noticeable to me, and I think you remarked on it as well, was the fact that the referee gave some good decisions, he gave some bad decisions. But the most important thing for me was that he gave bad decisions against both teams. There was a Boca Juniors player that could have been sent off, and he wasn't. Probably, almost certainly should have been sent off. But then at the same time, there was a clear penalty, if not two, denied to Boca Juniors. So that suggests that there is there's a balance there. There's at least an attempt to make it an equal playing field for all. And although the Boca Juniors players at the end sort of had a bit of a tantrum, I think almost being beaten on the home turf by their biggest rivals. They almost had to do that. It was almost a pantomime sort of thing at the end of the match. The referee, the manager, the Boca Juniors manager, and their goalkeeper, who I think, if I'm not wrong, was their captain, were very respectful to the referee, looked to shake his hand, looked to have a chat with him at the end. I just had a feel that I'm not getting from Serie A at the moment. I don't know, did you notice a difference in that match?
I don't know why there was a difference, alright. I mean, I don't, I don't mind human error. It's part of the game. But Serie A has VAR, and it's not like, what are they doing? They're not helping the referee at all right now because we don't know what's being called or what should be looked at and what shouldn't be looked at. You know, the referee's taking all the flack, and you have to look at the ones using the VAR because they're meant to notify him.
But at the same
really
time,
help.
with the match against Sampdoria, where the referee disallowed 2 goals. Correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding with VAR protocol is that the referee has to check the video if he's overturning a major decision. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on that, but
I think that is the rule, but I think like on offsides and stuff like that, I think they go by the by the VAR, the line footage. They just tell them it's offside.
Right. And what about with the ball leaving the field of play? Because I've no issue with the 2 goals that were disallowed against Sampdoria. I said at the time that I thought that they were perfectly disallowable, but it was the fact that he didn't go and check the video that I questioned. He didn't check it himself. And
well, I would guess when it comes to a line call like that, you're probably talking like the VAR ones would be calling it. I would say, but I don't know how the guy standing on the line doesn't even see it go out. It's right in front of him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have an issue with the goals being disallowed because I do believe that they were disallowable, but at the same time, VAR wasn't used.
There was a difference. There was a difference. Like the Parma game, you could see it was clearly there was a handball on the line. He should have been called and should have went to look at it, but he got the call and said that nothing should be looked at, so he didn't.
Yeah. And the same way I think there was issues with our match against Sassuolo, and Roberto Scarpini actually said during his commentary of the Sampdoria match, because I tend to turn down the audio on the television pictures and listen to Scarpini through the app thing that they have on the intersite. He said basically that VAR always takes from Inter but never gives, and I think, to be honest, I don't think you can sum it up better than that. I really
like it's not even like it's only us. There's other teams throughout the league are having the same sort of issues. Like you look at Lazio from last season, a lot of calls went against them. It cost them a lot of points.
Yeah, and the one thing that I would say is that VAR never seems to be used to hinder Juventus. Now, I'm not saying that there is something definitely sinister behind the scenes because we can't say that. We don't know.
There could be. I mean, Juve had calls go against them last season for the first time in years, and they complained at the end of the season, and then they brought in these different rules for VAR.
Yeah,
and messed it up.
Part of me would wonder whether it's a mental thing in terms of the referees. It's a very difficult phrase to pronounce, but there's a phrase. If Alessandro was here tonight, it'd be a bit easier to get him to say it. Sudepansa psychologica. It's a fear of giving the wrong decision against the wrong team. Does that make sense? That it's not it's not something sinister or dirty behind the scenes.
Yeah, do you mean like for their own career? Like,
Yeah,
given a bad call against Juve could be bad for their career?
that is the impression that a lot of referees are under, I think.
Yeah.
I think I think a lot of referees have a nervousness. It's almost like I mean, you see it in all sports. You know referees who are homers, basically, that, if there's a controversial decision to give, they'll give it to the home team.
Yeah.
And you see that in all sports all over the world. And just that sort of mental trigger, that mental block against, that, well, if I give this decision if I give this decision against Juventus or I give it for Juventus, how does that weigh up for me?
Could I be
event.
banned after this?
Yeah, yeah. Because it's a fact. It's a fact that the football club in Italy with the most power is Juventus. The most behind the scenes power is Juventus and has been for decades. And I think it's something that referees have in the back of their mind. I don't think it's specific only to Italy. I mean, if you're going into the dying minutes of the match and it's a draw and you've got to give a penalty against Manchester United at the Stretford end, with what's potentially the last kick of the game, there's an awful onus on you not to give it. There is that pressure, and I think that referees just have to be a bit braver and make the right decision rather than actually, looking for the soft way out. I would argue.
I mean, even VAR now gives them a cushion to fall back on if they make a bad decision.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, exactly. And but the thing with Spalletti having been sent off for celebrating the goal, I just thought was absolutely ludicrous, and it's just really rubbed me up the wrong way.
I didn't get it at all. They banned the fella. Then they said he did nothing wrong, took the ban away, but still found him, so he's still punished.
Which is just bizarre.
Like Spalletti said, it sets a difficult precedent.
Yeah. I mean, what's the signal to any manager in Italy? You can't celebrate a goal now.
Yeah. Like how you know what Italians are like? They're passion.
Yes. Yeah. It's but I think anybody that's that closely involved is going to celebrate. And I really don't. I couldn't. It wasn't even as if he definitely turned to the camera, and there's no question of whether he turned to the fourth official. He turned to the camera.
Yeah, he went straight into the camera.
Yeah, but and he just cheered, like, he literally. He didn't.
Yeah, I didn't even think he said anything. He just cheered.
No. Yeah. He didn't make a hand signal. He didn't.
Yeah.
Just bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. I mean, coming off this, because we can go around in circles, I think, but do you think we've turned a corner with these 3 wins, or do you think we're still in trouble? There seems to have been something of a fluke about all 3 wins. They've been, well, apart from against Fiorentina, they've been all very late goals. The match against Fiorentina, obviously, for the reasons I've outlined, I didn't see. Do you think this is a turning point now, or how do you feel about going forward?
I think a comfortable win against Cagliari would say to me that we've turned it round. I mean, there's been slight improvement each game, and I mean slight because the passing's still shocking. But there's still a problem, like creating chances going forward. To me, like, the Fiorentina game, I thought they started well in the first 10 minutes. Then we sort of grew into the game a bit, started creating, like, wouldn't say full on blown chances, but half chances. And it just wasn't great to watch, to be fair.
No, that's the feeling that I've had of the matches so far. Even we've been winning, but we haven't been playing particularly well. But maybe it's a sign of a good team or a solid team that you can dig wins out when you're not playing.
Oh, I mean, I'm happy that they're putting it in till the end. They are putting the 100% effort in every performance. They just need to work on the quality.
And I would say speed it all up. Like it's very sluggish, and
Yeah, well,
because
that's it. When you look at like the likes of Sarri's Napoli, fizzing it into people, 1-2 touch, moving the ball on. Or sometimes in our team it gets in the midfield and we can't go forward because there's nothing on, and then it has to go back and be recycled.
Yeah, I just don't think that there's a fluidity there. The only time I've seen a fluidity was the first half against Torino. Other than that, it's been very stodgy, and it's allowing the other teams to regroup, and we're also far too cross dependent still, I think, and that begs the question of why we signed Nainggolan in the first place, because you would think that by buying Nainggolan, the purpose for that was to be able to go through the centre far more. But it just seems that they're not using that option as much as they should. Do you think that that's a case of Nainggolan trying to bed into the team? Do you think it's a case of Spalletti's tactics? Or do you think it's a work in progress?
It's a work in progress, so it is. I mean, Nainggolan's still getting his fitness. He is starting to complete games now. And I think the more he gets fitter and the more he plays and gets the hang of playing with Icardi and that, and hopefully linking up with him rather than Icardi being on his own. I think it's going to work going forward. Especially, I would say it'll be very effective in the Champions League. I would say more than maybe in Italy.
Yeah, I just was wondering. I was just looking forward. I thought that Nainggolan might be able to just give that dynamism, link in midfield and attack. And I was just hoping that it would be that option that made us that little bit less predictable than we were last season, which would help to unlock. I'm not so concerned about playing the likes of Sampdoria and Fiorentina. We've got wins against them already, but I'm not as concerned about playing teams like that, because in fairness to those teams, they will come and try and beat you. I can't. It's very, very rare that I can ever remember a Fiorentina or a Sampdoria not coming out to try and win against the Inter. And in fairness to them, the likes of Atalanta as well, they come out and they try and beat you. It's more the Cagliaris, it's the Spals.
Yeah, all the ones, Chievo and all them.
Yeah, that will be perfectly happy with a draw, and that's where I'd be looking to Nainggolan particularly to sort of unpick those teams. There was some controversy from the Fiorentina staff over the penalty and the referee's performance. Now, I mean, we've criticised the referee against us with Sampdoria, but the Fiorentina staff seem to have been saying the same things or similar things. Can you talk me through the controversy, particularly over the penalty?
It was a cross in the box, right on the line of the box. Guys put his leg out to try and stop the ball, but put his arm out at the same time because he's running at full pace. But he's put his arm out and it's flicked off his fingers. So it has, and obviously the VAR's been involved and he's gave the handball. But I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a handball because Like if you're running like that, you know that there's the chance that the ball can go out and hit your arm. Try and get your arm behind you, but his arm was out, and it did hit him on the hands. So like, I thought it was harsh because I wouldn't like to concede a penalty like that. So I wouldn't. I thought it was a penalty, but a harsh one. Put it
Okay.
that way.
So it was a givable penalty, but it was a case of it was
Yes, but I
givable. But
don't think he didn't mean to actually handle the ball.
okay. And Anthony was saying that it was potentially D'Ambrosio's best performance in an Inter. Would you agree with that?
I'll be honest with you, I couldn't believe he got forward for the goal. I wondered why he was even up there.
Yeah.
But it was a much better performance from him. There was a few players that actually impressed me. That you can see their fitness is getting a lot better. The likes of Brozovic was very good. The Vrij looked decent.
I was going to be that was going to be a next question. Brozovic seems to be performing again, and I think that's going to be a huge thing for the midfield. And give the midfield that sort of liveliness that it's lacked since the start of the season. Certainly, I thought he performed reasonably well against Tottenham, and I certainly thought the same against Sampdoria. He just seems to be growing in confidence again, and apparently his performance against Fiorentina was very strong. Do you see him going in the right direction again, and do you see him getting back to where he was at the end of last season?
I think I'll be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of Brozovic. When he was going through that bad period with the bad attitude and that, I still really haven't really forgiven him for that. But I'll have to say he has turned it around. Like it's the tail end of last season, he was really, really fantastic. Like it was just continuous performance after performance. It wasn't just one performance and then another performance in about 10 games time. He was actually getting on the ball, doing stuff. He wasn't flapping his arms and that. And I've seen that again this season. There was a wee bit in one of the earlier games where I've seen the flapping of arms and the bad attitude, but he seems to have sorted it out. And like it can only do us the world of good, him being in the right place. And you can see he's a good player when his head's there.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. Like, and even during the World Cup, he was vital for Croatia. I just think that if Spalletti can get him playing anywhere near the capability he has, then I think he's a vital player going forward. He's someone who can control the match, maybe not to the extent that a Modric could, but certainly he's the most metronomic player that we have. He's probably the most in terms of that deep down moving towards the more defensive side of midfield. He's certainly the most creative in that position on the field.
He's a box-to-box player. I mean, the amount he runs tells you that. I mean, he's running 12, 13 kilometres every game.
Yeah. And in terms of the Spalletti, we'll call it a farce, do you think that'll play any role for the rest of the season? Do you think it's disruptive to the team, or do you think Spalletti can use it to create a siege mentality?
I think the whole thing was meant to be to distract us in that Fiorentina game, to be fair, and I think it backfired on them. From here, I think the likes of Spalletti, and I think he'll really just keep himself to himself. He won't really be doing any much. So he won't, but he might. Well, depends what type of matches we'll have coming up. If we're getting some dodgy decisions, yeah, you might see some fireworks from Spalletti, I would say.
Because I think, when Mourinho was there, it was the kind of thing that Mourinho would have thrived on, and you could almost guarantee that Mourinho would come out and do something, go out of his way to do something in the Fiorentina match. Spalletti, to me, strikes me as a much more moderate individual than Mourinho. He doesn't seem he has his moments, but he doesn't seem as provocative. But the one thing that Mourinho would definitely have used this for would be a siege mentality that it's us against the world, and
Oh,
everybody's
definitely.
out to get
He
us.
did it when he was there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, no, but I don't think anybody will forget the handcuffs.
Yeah.
But do you think that Spalletti has that in his character, or do you think it's something that Spalletti will try and brush to the side and let it forgotten about?
I don't know. I could see Spalletti having the same passion, but I do think he would maybe think about it before he did anything.
Where you don't believe he has the impulsivity of Mourinho?
He kind of does. I mean, you've seen the other day. I mean, it's a last minute winner. I mean, anyone can really come out and
Yeah.
do something really in that moment. But I wouldn't see him as like as confrontational as Mourinho. I wouldn't think.
And in terms of the match tomorrow night against Cagliari, how confident are you, and where do you think this could be won or lost?
Well, I'm extremely confident. I think a home win is definite paramount. I think 2 or 3-0. Keep a clean sheet. I think in the match, Spalletti's been talking about changing it up. Like maybe we see Brozovic and Nainggolan together in midfield, and maybe Lautaro in the number 10. Even though I think he's more of an out-and-out striker. No, we might see Keita Baldi get a run out instead of Candreva, maybe.
But Keita Balde's not been performing since he came. Are you concerned at all, or what's your feelings on him? Because I think he's been a bit of a disappointment since he came.
I think if he gets a run in the team, he's been in and out of the side and he's been moved about in the side. My idea for him would be out in the right wing, which I think he's better there. I don't like him as a forward. I don't think he's a proper out and out striker. Although he does run the channels well, but most of his play is down the wing. And I don't think he's any good on the left. I think on the right he's a far better player. And if he gets a run in the team, hopefully, make link-ups with Brozovic in midfield, D'Ambrosio / Vasalko when we've seen him, and even Accardi, he just needs that run in the team to get it going.
And I was just going to go back to the Spalletti thing. It's been a recurrent theme throughout the episode, but in terms of Serie A is really trying to drive its product abroad. That it's trying to grow its market share abroad. It's got some stiff competition. I think in the main from the Premier League, particularly in sort of untapped markets like China, like Japan, Korea, America. I think they tend to buy into the Premier League more. Then you've got Barcelona and Real Madrid that are just huge products that they already have a massive market share in South America, certainly, but theirs is growing in, again, the untapped territories, if you like. I think although the French league is probably a little bit below the standard of the main four, Paris Saint-Germain being owned by guys from the Middle East is always going to be an attraction for that part of the world, I think. In terms of Serie A really trying to get its share of the market in the new markets, how damaging do you think things like Spalletti, bearing in mind the history that the history that's attached to Italian football? Again, I'm not saying that the same thing is happening again, but you can't ignore history, and everybody I think that knows about football knows about the
Yeah.
certain
Well,
aspects.
that's it. Even
Yeah,
with new fans from around the world coming in, and picking a team and supporting a team, they're checking that team's history out. They're going to see some shady histories, let me tell you.
And what I'm thinking is like when they're really trying to drive their market share abroad, and you see things that just doesn't sit right, like Spalletti sending off. Do you think that that's damaging for Serie A in new markets?
It is, yes. So it is. They want to see, like you said, every team's got a fair crack of the whip, and not things being leaned towards one side. It's going to turn you off the league. I mean, you say the French league yourself. I mean, there's PSG. They win the league every season, basically.
Yes, yeah.
That's the turn off. So it is. It's the same with other leagues. The Scottish league at the minute, it's the same with Celtic running red. You need 5 or 6 teams, all going for that title, like the Premier League has, and like Italy have had in the past.
Yeah.
Like
I
now,
mean,
the gap to Juve is huge, absolutely huge. I don't even know if it's even get backable.
to my knowledge, the leagues that already sell, or the leagues that sell abroad now, um, I don't see the German league having a big profile, and that's absolutely dominated by Bayern Munich. I don't see the French league. Having said that, I do believe that Paris Saint-Germain itself will always have a hold in the Middle East because of its owners, and it's only natural. If an Irish billionaire was to buy
It's the
a
same.
club.
It's the same as Man United being owned by the
Yeah.
Americans. We're gonna have a big pull over in America. It's the same with ourselves. We're owned by streaming. We have quite the following now over in China.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But if you look at the leagues that are sort of high profile outside of their own country, I think Italy and Spain and England are really the three big ones. And
Yeah.
that's because there is a competition there. And if there's no competition there, even though in Spain perhaps it's usually only between two teams, it's still a competition. You don't know at the start of the season who's going to win the league. The Italian league is becoming more a case of you do know who's going to win the league.
Yeah.
And then you've got this thing of, you know, let's call them strange goings on where Douglas Costa seems that he has to do everything in and out of the book to get sent off, whereas you know a manager can get sent off for just celebrating a goal. When you're trying to sell that abroad, do you think it's massively off-putting, and do you think it's going to stunt Serie A's foreign growth?
I think it could stunt it because people will not want to see that, especially the spitting and stuff like that. And when they see that he's only got 4 matches instead of maybe a 10 match ban, they're going to say, "Hey, this might not be worth watching. We don't want to see that."
Yeah. And then we're going to just do we always do a history part of the show, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently this week. I hope Ian forgive me for doing this, but I was very impressed by a birthday gift that his wife made for him during the week. Do you want to talk through that?
Yeah, it's my 35th birthday tomorrow night, and me and my wife are going out to celebrate. We're going to Loveries in town with the Interclub Belfast members to watch the game. And she's made this cake, and it is a cake of the San Siro.
Well, it's
So
absolutely, it's fantastic.
it is took her around 3 or 4 days to make it.
You know, the detail.
It'll be going there tomorrow night. So I'm hoping for a win.
Excellent, good, very good. And just to let people know that they might not be aware, Sport Italia, it's a TV channel in Italy, but they have a live streaming of their channel on their website, sportitalia.com, I think it's called. It's either sportitalia.com or sportitalia.com. There's a live streaming, but it's not geo-blocked, and it's always worth giving a look because the the match tomorrow, the Primavera match, is at 12 o'clock. It's against Sassuolo. It's at home. We haven't had the greatest of starts. I mean, we won 1-0 at home against Cagliari in the first match, drew at home against Spurs, and then drew away to Sampdoria. Tomorrow's match, therefore, is going to be really critical. It's a crucial match.
That game's being shown on Inter TV and Inter.it as well for registered users.
Yeah, excellent. And also just to say that if you go onto the Sport Italia website, you'll be able to watch it on there from 12 o'clock Irish time, which is 1 o'clock in the afternoon Italian time. So you can work out the time from there to what part of the world you're in. And I think I'll wrap it up there and say thanks to Ian and Forza Inter.
No probs. Thanks for having me on. Forza Inter.